Now that's old-timey.
The flowers of love came to wither and die. Our romance was never to be. No matter what happens, I know you'll get by. But what's gonna happen to me? I'll never be able to love someone new, for somehow I'll never feel free. I'm sure you'll find someone to care about you, but what's gonna happen to me when years tell their story and gray streaks my hair? You'll still be a sweet memory. It's hard to go on knowing that you don't care. Oh, what's gonna happen to me? Yes, what's gonna happen to me? Down the highway of sorrow, I'm traveling alone. I've lost all my true friends, I have no happy home. I'm headed for destruction, I'm on the wrong track. Down the highway of sorrow, there's no turning back. Once I had a darling wife, she was kind, true and sweet. Our home, it was happy, and life was so complete. But I fell for another who led my heart astray. Now I will live in sorrow till my dying day. Down the highway of sorrow, I'm traveling alone. I've lost all my true friends, I have no happy home. I'm headed for destruction, I'm on the wrong track. Down the highway of sorrow, there ain't no turning back. Well, I went back to my darling and got down on my knees. There I begged her through my tears to give my poor heart ease. But she was hurt so deeply that she could not forgive. Now I will be in sorrow as long as I live. Down the highway of sorrow, I'm traveling alone. I've lost all my true friends and lost a happy home. I'm headed for destruction, I'm on the wrong track. Down the highway of sorrow, there's no turning back. Down the highway of sorrow, there's no turning back. Oh, what a mistake right at the end. Welcome back to Old Timey Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed those two old songs. I'll quickly tell you why I sang those. They're probably not very well-known songs. The first one I learned from Mac Wiseman from a record that I borrowed from my Uncle Ray back when I was a teenager. And the reason I chose to sing it for you is last week for Original Thursday, I shared a song of mine called You're in My Heart. And if you read the description down there, then you know that a line in that song, What's Gonna Happen to Me, inspired the song that I wrote, even though they're very, I'd say, completely different songs. One's happy, one's sad, one's slow, one's fast. They're totally different, but it was one line in that song. I believe that song is quite old. I'll put some information in the description down below. I think it goes back long before Mac, who sang it. And I believe there is another verse. I'm almost positive there's another verse. So if you saw me doing that long pause there while I was just chording, I was trying to think of that other verse. There's another verse that kind of completes the song. You know, it would have been better if I could have included that verse. But that gives you an idea. A couple of interesting things about Mac Wiseman. I thought I had my cell phone with me. But Pap had told me that Mac Wiseman was an English professor. So I Googled that real quick, and that's not the case. I could see how people started to think things like that about him. He had that very much that professor look starting in the 60s and on into the 70s and on up into the 90s and the 2000s. He always kept that kind of that trimmed beard. A lot of times he might wear like a tweed jacket even with the patches on the shoulder. But he was not an English professor. The interesting stuff that I was going to read to you from my phone, he did some study of how to be a radio announcer. He also did some study at the Shenandoah Music Conservatory, which I thought was interesting. Mac Wiseman is a very fascinating guy. He always did his own thing, his own sound, and when you look at real early video of Mac Wiseman, he was singing a little bit more in the country and western genre, and then over time he kind of got more into the bluegrass, but he never really abandoned some of that country styling that he had in his voice. Very, very interesting, cool guy, very high singer. You don't really realize it while you're listening to him, but he was a very high singer. Although he didn't go up into falsetto like a Bill Monroe or anyone like that. Sorry, Bill Monroe fans. Let's see, anything else I want to say about Mac? Talking about being his own self, in that bluegrass world, most of the time Mac Wiseman played a Yamaha guitar, which is a Japanese guitar, and not nearly as expensive as a Martin guitar most of the time. And I wonder if he took maybe even some ribbing for that. Very few bluegrass guys would play a Yamaha guitar, but Mac liked that Yamaha guitar. He liked how it played. He liked how it sounded. So that's all that mattered to him. He didn't care about what name was out here on the headstock. That was just another thing that was very individualistic about Mac Wiseman. The second song that I sang for you, the reason I sang it is that is a song I think originally recorded by Cowboy Copas. And several weeks back for Old Timey Tuesday, Daryl Savage and I, who, by the way, we're working on another collaboration. Hopefully it'll be up in the next week or two on his channel. I'll let you know when it's ready. But that song that we did together, Daryl and I, we did Lonesome 77203, and I told the whole story there in the description about Hawkshaw Hawkins and how he died tragically in that plane that crashed on its way back to Nashville. Well, Cowboy Copas was on that plane too, so I thought I should do a Cowboy Copas song, a little tribute to him as well. Patsy Cline, of course, was on that plane too, but I don't have the musical chops to sing any Patsy Cline songs for you, nor do many other people. But Cowboy Copas was a much bigger star than Hawkshaw Hawkins. He was very successful, and his music was really kind of known internationally. Now, I didn't hear him sing that song, The Highway of Sorrow. I learned it from Doc Watson, who, I'm not sure when Doc recorded this, but I heard it in the 90s, maybe mid to late 90s. My Uncle Ray, once he discovered that Wayne Erbson on WCQS in Asheville on his show Country Roots, once Uncle Ray discovered that Wayne played some pretty good music every weekend, then Uncle Ray got in the habit of recording a lot of those shows. And if he had something he liked in particular, he would maybe make me a copy. So he'd given me a cassette copy of just various things, various groups and songs, and that one was on there. Doc was probably doing it in about A. He was a much lower singer than I am. Couple of more interesting things about Cowboy Copas. If you ever go and listen to the tribute album that the Louvin Brothers did to Roy Acuff, which I think is really, in terms of the performance, one of their best, absolute best albums. They were really hitting the top of their game at that time in terms of their vocal abilities. They basically arrived at perfection, in my opinion. They did a whole album of Roy Acuff songs, and right when they were getting ready to release it, Capitol and I guess the powers that be realized, oh, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Roy Acuff's first recording or start in the business or something. So we're just going to shelve your record, and we're not going to let it come out. We're going to do this Roy Acuff album, commemorative album or anniversary album or whatever, which is, makes sense because Roy's Roy, and nobody should be able to trump Roy, I guess, on his own songs. But anyway, the Louvin Brothers album came out years later, and it is so good. If you've never heard it, go check it out. But the cool thing that I learned from Charlie, that album, it has great dobro playing, which is probably either Oswald or maybe Cousin Jody. It has great harmonica playing, which according to Google was Jimmy Riddle. It almost puts you in the mind of Charlie McCoy, but Jimmy Riddle. Great fiddle playing. Anyway, everything on it is just so polished and so perfect. And in every track, there's this killer flat top, just acoustic guitar like I'm holding, rhythm, and it's making all these crazy great runs that are so connected and that I haven't really heard before. Like in Two Different Worlds, there's this neat little guitar run. And that's not all that complicated, but it's just perfect for the song, and it's different. And then in the song Low and Lonely, there's all these falling runs, that kind of stuff, but much better than that. Anyway, I assumed that was Charlie Louvin because Charlie played the flat top, right, when he and I were singing together. And then when I talked with Charlie about it, he said, no, you won't believe who that was. And I said, who was it? He said, that was Cowboy Copas. I said, what? And, I'd seen videos of Cowboy Copas, and he liked to play a Martin guitar. He usually had a thumb pick, and he made some runs and everything, but he was much better than I realized. That is one of the most impressive things I've ever heard on a flat top guitar, and it was Cowboy Copas. So that was cool. The other day, well, actually in that same video, in the description there, when I was talking about Hawkshaw Hawkins, I mentioned that he recorded for King Records, and I found out Cowboy Copas also recorded for King Records. And an interesting connection, Reno and Smiley, and yes, I'm wearing this shirt just specifically so I can make this point. Reno and Smiley, probably my second favorite group of all time. They did an entire album that was a tribute to Cowboy Copas. And as far as I know, that's the only tribute album Reno and Smiley ever did. The Louvin Brothers did several. They did Roy Acuff, Delmore Brothers. But, they did one to Cowboy Copas. And at the time, my Uncle Ray had that record. I borrowed it. I copied a few songs off of it that I liked. I wish I could go back and listen to it now because I would probably like everything on it. But at the time I thought, that's interesting. Why Cowboy Copas, you know? I mean, Cowboy Copas was great, but why would Reno and Smiley do a tribute to Cowboy Copas? And I'm sure there's probably lots of reasons. They may have been friends. I wouldn't be surprised. But now that I know that Cowboy Copas recorded for King Records, and of course Reno and Smiley recorded for King Records, that may be why they did a tribute album to Cowboy Copas. That might have been a suggestion from the record label. Hey, you know, we own the rights to these songs. Cowboy Copas is our biggest star on this label. We want you to do a tribute album to him. Yeah, and maybe they did it partly too because of the way Cowboy, you know, lost his life so young, so tragically. All right, that's a lot of information about why I did those two songs. Now, I hope you enjoyed those songs, even though they are sad songs. But here's an idea that I've come up with. Last week with the original song of mine, it was so successful and so well received because it allowed you all, acorns out there, to participate in it by sending those photos. So here's another opportunity for you to participate. In the comments down below, let me know what songs, old-timey songs, you would like for me to do next Tuesday for Old Timey Tuesday. And I'll try to do those songs if I know them or if I can learn them. If you will, please don't suggest something that I've already done on the channel. I would like for it to be different things. And maybe kind of bear in mind what style of music I do. You know, maybe don't suggest Burning Love by Elvis or something like that. But let me know what old-timey songs you'd like for me to try to do next week. And Lord willing, I'll do some of them. I thought about doing it in a live stream, but the last I've only done one live stream, and the audio quality was just terrible. So I will do it as a video, but before I sit down and shoot the video, I'll read through the comments and do some of your requests. And speaking of Elvis and speaking of requests, sometime in the past, two different acorns asked for I Can't Help. Oh, how does that song? But I can't. Falling in Love with You. So I'll do that one. And then maybe some hymns. Maybe some people will suggest some hymns, some old country songs, old bluegrass songs, whatever. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you want to hear, and I'll try to do them. A couple of special things coming up. We have Memorial Day coming up. I think that might be the 25th. On that day, I've already got this video edited and uploaded for you and scheduled. You'll be able to hear a video that's very appropriate, a song that's very appropriate for Memorial Day, performed by the Wilson brothers, Pap, my dad, and my Uncle Ray. So be looking for that. That'll come up on a Monday rather than a Tuesday. So it'll be in addition to our Tuesday, Thursday videos. That's coming up. Also this Thursday, I was thinking, goodness, how can I come anywhere close to equaling the last original Thursday that got so many views? And I probably can't, but I did come up with something special. And so this Thursday you'll hear a song, an original song that Pap wrote. That's not that unusual because I've sung and shared lots of original songs from him on the channel, and I'll continue to do that because there's plenty to share. But what will be special about this is you'll be able to hear the Wilson brothers. You'll be able to see them and hear them perform the song live. And so that'll be this Thursday, an original song by Pap, performed by the Wilson brothers back in 1991 at a venue down in South Georgia. So that's coming up on Thursday. Speaking of original songs, the Varvels over on their channel, they've done another song of Pap's. They did the title track from the Words of Life album. They did Words of Life. So go over, I'll put a link in the description down below. Go over and check out their version of Words of Life. And speaking of Words of Life, let me bend down here. Several of you have talked about singing in your church, and several of you have talked about playing piano. So I'm going to put my email address at the bottom of the screen. And you might recall that a while back I talked about trying to, which would be a long-term project, it would take several years, but creating a songbook of Pap's songs with sheet music. Now, the reason that'll take so long is I can't write music, I can't read music. But here is some sheet music that a company called TuneScribers created of the song Words of Life. So if you would like this sheet music, it won't cost you anything. Just send me an email at the email address on the screen. I'll scan this. I'll send you this sheet music. You can print it out on your end and learn it. Learn to play it, learn to sing it. Sing it in your church, which would be absolutely wonderful. If you do that, please let me know about it. And what I would really love even better is make a little video of your church or your choir singing it and send it to me. And I might even put it up here on the Blind Pig. But anyway, let me know if you'd like to have this Words of Life sheet music. And speaking of the Wilson Brothers, this is the last thing I'll share, and then I'll wrap up this video. I have created, if you'll go to the Blind Pig channel, so if you're watching a song, just click on Blind Pig and the Acorn down below the video itself. So if you go to any video on the Blind Pig and the Acorn channel, just below the title of the video is the name of the channel. So if you click on that, Blind Pig and the Acorn, it will take you to the landing page for the channel. Now if you scroll all the way down past all these videos, you'll see a couple of other channels. The first one is just a channel named after me that just features studio releases of different songs that I've recorded, mostly, well, in fact, I think all songs that Pap wrote. But here's another channel that I've created called the Wilson Brothers, Jerry, Ray, and Henry. The Henry part's not showing up here, but it will if you go to the channel. I called it that because there are so many other acts known as the Wilson Brothers. You can see there's no content on this channel just yet, but Lord willing, I'm going to be adding things there, recordings that they've made, like the Words of Life album, which the digital release, I'm still waiting for it to hit all those different download platforms, but that will be here. And then I've found a lot of old videos of them that will be here, and their old radio broadcasts, including sermons that were preached on those broadcasts. All that will be available here. Now I want to ask you to do me a favor and don't subscribe to this channel just yet, because there's no content. But once I get to adding things to that, which I won't be able to add something every week, but maybe at least a couple of times a month, Lord willing. Once I'm able to start doing that, I would really appreciate it if you are subscribed to this channel, if you would go over and subscribe to the Wilson Brothers YouTube channel. And that will really feed that algorithm. I'll tell you a big secret to my sister Tipper's success on her channel, Celebrating Appalachia. Of course, she has great content, but there are a lot of channels that have good content and almost no viewers. Tipper had a blog called Blind Pig and the Acorn for about 8 or 10 years. And she, through a lot of hard work, finally reached a point where about 700 to 1,000 folks were reading that blog weekly. So when she started her Celebrating Appalachia channel, that 700 to 1,000 people immediately subscribed to that channel. So right out of the gate, that got YouTube's attention. And they thought, oh, okay, this is something people like or will really like. And then they started to sort of push that channel and put it in front of more people. And then now I think she has around 360,000 subscribers. I don't want to get that big, and nor do I expect to with either of these channels that are just about music. But when the time comes, I will let folks know when this channel, the Wilson Brothers channel, gets going and gets some content on it. I will let folks know about it and ask you to please go over and subscribe, because in one way I could just put all their content on the Blind Pig channel and it might get more views and more exposure that way, but they really deserve their own channel. And if I can have you help me in that way, then maybe they can get just as much exposure on this standalone channel as they could on my own channel. I've been real blessed the last couple of weeks. I just keep finding old video footage of the Wilson Brothers, and so I'll be sharing that there as well. what you'll see this Thursday is just a song from an entire set that was done at that music venue. But eventually, Lord willing, on that Wilson Brothers channel, you'll be able to watch that entire set. And some of the quality isn't, the greatest because it was just most of the time an old VHS made on a camcorder, but still might be something, that could be a blessing to people and preserve it for, my family and kind of future generations to be able to see it. All right, let me take a quick look at my notes. I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to share with you this morning. Yeah, let me know your song requests for next Tuesday. I already mentioned I've got my Reno and Smiley shirt on. I have my Guitar Poor hat on, my Doyle Dykes hat, one of them. And it's kind of funny, I have my favorite flat picker shirt on, flat picker, Don Reno, and then I have my favorite thumb picker, finger picker on my head up here. So I got it covered. Thumb pick, flat pick, it's all good. Thanks for watching. Please tune in this Thursday for that special live video from 1991 of Pap and Uncle Ray singing an original song written by Pap.